Hi everyone, welcome to DMUKTalkies. Our today's guest is Mike Gifford, Chairman of Board of Governors of the Montfort University, Kazakhstan. Welcome, Mr. Gifford.
Thank you. Well,
my name is Naila, and I am studying in the second year at DMUK, majoring in business and marketing.
And I'm Alexander. My major is finance and investment. Thank you for being here today, and we'll talk about culture, globalization, and fast-changing world.
So the first question. You're a former senior British diplomat with many years of experience leading various teams in foreign positions in Europe, the Middle East, and Asia. And most recently, you served as the British ambassador to Kazakhstan from 2018 to 2021. And the question is, as someone who has rich experience in foreign policy, in your opinion, how to keep a strong relationship with a particular country?
Well, I think what I would say, first thing to say, I think, is that representing your country as an ambassador is a huge honour and a responsibility, because people you meet in the course of doing that make assumptions about Britain or whichever country you come from. And my background is mostly in what we call bilateral diplomacy, so relations between individual states. I've not worked so much in the UN, for example, or the EU, or any of those international bodies. And the role of the ambassador in the British ambassador in the country is to be the focal point to represent the UK in that country, to pursue UK interests, and those can vary from country to country. So one of my job before my job as British ambassador, which I retired from last year, I was as ambassador to North Korea, and that was a completely different set of circumstances. So, for example, one of the well-known functions of an embassy is to try to help and protect our citizens abroad. In North Korea, there weren't really very many British people, so that part of it was less. Whereas here in Kazakhstan, there are obviously more. But I think your question about how do you kind of maintain relations is a difficult one, because not everything is the responsibility of embassies or even governments. And you can think of a lot of incidents and things that happen around the world which are out of the control of governments, and those can affect relations. Economic changes, for example, is one. Global issues such as climate change. I think that's those big themes of things which affect all of us are things which are often prioritized in relations, and we certainly prioritize that in our talks with the Kazakh government, for example. So I think it varies. I think you have to sort of narrow it down a bit to say, where are you talking about? What is your concern? Are you, for example, trying to promote British goods and services to a country? Most ambassadors around the world are doing that, but they may not be doing it in every single economic sector. Here it is about the oil and gas sector. It's about mining, agriculture, and services. So financial services, legal services, and those are the things which the UK is good at. And so those tended to be the focus of that particular trade promotion effort. So I think it's one of those questions where the longer you try to answer it, the more different. You get lots of answers to it depending on the circumstances.
Okay, so the world we live in is a global one.
Yes.
But recently, with the world happening events, it has been slowing down. And what's your opinion about the future of globalization?
Well, globalization is I think here to stay. Some people will have different definitions of what it actually means, but the days when countries could act in isolation from the rest of the world have long gone. And partly that's due to obvious things like increase in tech. Far more of our activity is an economic activity is online. But also I think because the countries take, this is where it gets controversial for some countries. A country like Britain or many European countries and others will take interest, for example, in human rights issues in a country. And we would take the view, or the British government would take the view, that there are international norms and standards which countries should try to meet as far as they can. And but if you try that argument with countries where the human rights record is bad, they will refuse to accept that, or they will have a different point of view. So I think and you know, issues don't exist in isolation from each other. So if you think about human rights, for example, then increasingly international companies or companies that operate internationally will want to know the sort of country they're investing in. They will have a responsibility to their shareholders and to the public back home to be responsible corporate citizens. So, you know, I mean, an obvious case is Saudi Arabia, for example, an extremely rich country. UK has a very strong trading relationship, has done for years. But you know, there are people in the UK who say no, we shouldn't actually be investing in that country or dealing with them because of their human rights record. And there are other examples. I just took that at random. But I think for me, you know, it's important. For me, it comes back to values. You need to be able to represent your country's interests and stand up for the international values which you have. And although yes, those have been under attack, I think in recent years, you know, values of the rule of law, you know, respect for international sovereignty, respect for human rights, promoting good international institutions, you know, making the UN more effective, for example, those kind of things, I think are still fundamental to what diplomats do.
Okay, thank you for your answer. And the third question is, when you just started your duties as UK ambassador to Kazakhstan, you've done a few video blogs about our country. And could you please tell more about this experience, and in general, how is it like for you to live in Kazakhstan, and what do you like the most?
Well, I thoroughly enjoyed my 3 years in Kazakhstan, and that's not just a diplomatic answer. I mean, it's a genuine answer. And you know, the working on social media and doing blogs and videos and so on is a great way to introduce yourself to a new country. And I think for me it divides into the more serious side of life, where you have something to say about a particular international issue, and the more fun stuff. So I did videos about, you know, eating Kazakh cheese in the supermarket and this sort of thing, and trying Kazakh cooking. And I think you need to balance those two, because people will, as you know, people will be interested in something that's quick and attractive on social media. And some of those more complex questions, you know, it takes time to get into them, so you have to mix it up a bit. But I enjoyed that, and I think for most diplomats, certainly for me, you know, having an online presence of some sort, I think is really important.
Okay, thank you very much. And the last question is, so here at DMUK we have such programs as business and law, finance and investment, or business economics, and etc.
Yes.
So, and we as a new generation really want to change the world, to improve it. And what's your advice about it? How can we do that?
How can you change the world? Gosh, well, if I knew the answer to that, I think I would tell you. I think the part of the answer, I think, is I mean, first of all, the first thing to say is that, you know, Montfort University, Kazakhstan, is a fantastic base to pursue your ambitions and dreams. And you know, I'm not just saying that because I'm directly involved in the project, but what you're getting from the university, what you will get, is a British education, British degree, which is internationally recognised. I mean, we learn quite a lot about the UK, but the UK is a global, you know, faces out globally. So I think it's a great basis to pursue whatever particular aspirations you have. Changing the world, yeah. I mean, now is the time, I think, you know, a university to really decide what you want to do. Part of that decision-making process and part of the things you bring to it, I think, or people tend to bring to it, is how do you invest in yourself as an individual? What kind of skills are you going to need in the future? And part of it is going to be technical skills, knowing about finance, knowing about business or accounting or whatever it is. And part of it is going to be about your own people skills. You know, how do you manage other people? How do you show leadership? How do you show empathy for people you're going to be working with? And those things can be learned and they can be acquired, but it takes practice and it takes time to get those sort of things really right. So I think investing in your own self and spending time not just learning the course, but really kind of working out what do I need personally as a person to make a success of things.
I absolutely agree with you, and thank you again for joining us today. And it was such a pleasure to have a chance to talk to you.
Great, thank you. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, best of luck to me.
And we also want to thank our viewers. See you next time.